Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Self Improvement Project. I'll always start these episodes by asking how you are. I hope you are well. I would love to hear from you about any wonderful self improvement that you've been up to recently. For me, I've been looking at lots of different things around rest, around sabbaticals, around trying to find more stimulation, more nourishment, more engagement through the work that I do, because work takes up so much of our life. It's not something, especially if you are into your inner self development, that you ever want to stop doing. It's to do with purpose and things like that. So you'll probably hear a little bit more about that in future episodes or from any future writing. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you will have seen that, or you follow me on Twitter or my email or whatever, that I'm writing a lot more. And whilst it's not perfect, I'm getting the words out, and I want to share those with you as well if you are more of a reader than a listener. So I hope you've been enjoying that as well. And today's episode is called Becoming a Good Friend to Yourself. And this is something that I have written a little bit on. So I may share the writing in the episode as well. But I hope you enjoy this episode. So, becoming a good friend to yourself. Let's look at some of the things that we as individuals can do to be a bad friend. So we can torture ourselves sometimes within our minds when we look at things like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, self-criticism, and looking at these specific negative things, games that we play with ourselves. The issue with this is that it can be a continuous cycle. It can be very difficult to get out of. And in the current world and in the current situation that we're in, I think it's always important to step back and think, how can we be a better friend to ourselves? How can we have more good than have more bad? And today I want to talk about how no matter what's going on in the world or what's going on with ourselves, that we can always be a better friend to ourselves to, at the end of the day, look after ourselves a little bit better. Now, whether you're looking after yourself or whether you're not, life always has highs and lows, the common cliche of the roller coaster. And that's never going to end. We're always going to have that, no matter you reach the peak of your life, the perfect lifestyle. There's always going to be things that you want more of to improve your mood. But what I talked about earlier with the self-criticism, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, as I alluded to, they're more of a constant in our lives from living day to day. We're harsher on ourselves than we are complimentary. And I asked myself the question, why do we put ourselves through this pain? Is it a lack of control? Neurologically, psychologically? Do we just not have control over our thoughts? And that is a bit of an instinctual thing to go back to. We aren't aware of how to stop these thoughts. So it's almost like we're on autopilot to go back to it. And look, there's always going to be things with our mind that we cannot control fully. But I definitely think that there are moments and points that we can stop. We can train ourselves to stop and prevent these things becoming the constant, becoming the normal, we can self-sabotage ourselves by almost convincing ourselves that we deserve it because we do it so much, it becomes normal, that we don't question it, and then we wonder why we feel bad because it's just expected. It might be that we need this pain in order to move forward with our lives, in order to improve ourselves, that classic no pain, no gain. But like I talked about before, it's almost an element of torture that we put ourselves through. Let's gain a bit of perspective here. There are going to be times in the future that you're going to be humbled, no matter how good or how bad you are at something. Understand that humility will exist in the future. But this being humbled will bring a sense of hope. Maybe what I talked about before the episode with the stimulation and nourishment that you maybe need in order to be motivated to reach that next step in your life, to know that you needed to be knocked down in order to know that you're on the right track. If you're knocked down and you give up, that's fine, but we usually give up because we understand and we realize that it's not actually what we truly want. But how we commonly think about this is us not being capable, us not being good enough. And we tell ourselves this, instead of telling us we're not on the right track or we're not going in the right direction, we tell ourselves it's us that's not good enough, not the situation or the direction. So how do we change this? This is where we need to be our best mate, our best friend. We need to look after ourselves. We need to have that best friend attitude to listen to ourselves, to tell ourselves that things are going to be okay, and no matter what happens and how shit life gets, we'll always be there for them. We need to encourage. We need to look at it from that third person perspective and think, good effort. Well done for putting your true effort into that. As I talked about before, when we realize that we're humbled, that can sometimes allow us to realize that we aren't aligned with what we thought. It's not down to our values or our beliefs, even though we thought it might be. And it actually sometimes allows our values to become clearer, our beliefs to become stronger, and lets us get closer to that thing that we want. We're not designed not to work. We're not designed to stop eternally. I massively disagree with the whole idea of retirement. I will talk about that on another episode maybe, but that's when life stops and life happens to us. But sometimes we fall into that trap earlier in our life where we think we're doing things and we're moving forward, but we've already stopped. If you look at humans as a species, we are the most progressive species. We are the most innovative species that have ever lived. So why on earth would we want to stop? And maybe this is where that negativity sometimes comes from. We're too harsh, we're too critical, but that's what elevates us, that's what pushes us forward in those times. But it's important to balance it out for our own peace of mind. Let's look at maybe what you've achieved so far to date that you are proud of. Those are much better than the failures. Those are much more significant and bigger than any failure that you've had, but there will have been failures along the way. that have got you there. I think the next time you try and that you fail, you think, I need to be that better friend to myself. It will be okay. That next time that you maybe rest or you take a break or you stop to breathe, be that good friend. Be that one that's there to listen and say, you deserve this. You've been working hard. Life's gonna happen to you sometimes, but don't forget to take control sometimes of that positivity. Not falsely, not disingenuinely, just remember to give yourself a bit of credit. And that's us today. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you very much for listening. And I say this in my email, but the favourite thing about doing the self-improvement project is people writing to me. So if you want to write to me, write to me. Let me know what you're up to, what you like, what you enjoy, and I love replying to people. So yeah, reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Cheers.